Say your prayers and eat your vitamins and get ready to break down some football, brother. Welcome into Yelling from the Couch. I'm Brent Humphreys. He's Gage Berdovich, and I've got one question. What you gonna do when a couple of delusional football fans run wild on you? Gage, how we doing, man?
Well, let me tell you something, brother. Football season's almost here. Preseason starts next week, and neither of our team is going to win the Super Bowl this year, so it's fine.
Man, way to bring it down in the very beginning like that. Like, man, we ain't even got to the AFC North yet, and here we are. Man, bold prediction already coming from Gage.
But you know
in July.
You know what? We need to start Hulk Hogan it up more.
Oh, yeah, let me tell you something, Mean Gage. The Cincinnati Bengals are going to the playoffs. Ooh, yeah. Well, I just turned into the Macho Man mid-sentence there. Anyways, yeah. But, it's close. Same era,
Snap it to a pancake.
Put the leg drop on him, brother, with the 24-inch pythons. Oh, there I go again. I can't stop doing the Macho Man at the end for whatever. It's, anyways.
The Macho Man accent with the Hulk Hogan sayings, I like this.
Yeah, why not, right? Why not?
Man.
Well, man, AFC South.
What a way, though, to bring down the entire world yesterday with the passing of the Hulkster.
Yeah, it's been a rough week for celebrities. You got Hulkster yesterday, Ozzy the day before, Theo from the Cosby Show. Bad day for 80s kids, for sure.
And you know what they say, they come in threes, so I guess we got 3 out.
Yeah. Hopefully that'll be enough for a little while. Those are some big names right there to go all in the week. So, man, before we get into the AFC South, training camp has started. Are you excited that training camp is back, Gage? And how did you think about Aaron Rodgers in his first pass to DK Metcalf yesterday?
Yeah, I'm so excited training camp's back. I, soon enough, hopefully, will be attending at least one training camp at St. Vincent College for the Steelers in Latrobe, and it's going to be so much fun. You just had to bring it up about Aaron Rodgers' first pass. You know who else was intercepted on his first pass? Jackson Dart. And that's the quarterback I wanted Pittsburgh to draft. So either way, we got an interception first play. Jackson Dart's was a pick six. At least Rodgers wasn't. But I'm still expecting good things. Shaking off the rust a little bit. These two have never played with each other, besides for a little bit of practice down at whatever college it was. I want to say UCLA, but I don't think that was right. But, yeah, it's fun. How's the Bengals doing on their practice?
Well, so far, there's Trey Hendrickson, he's in Florida somewhere. He's not signed. Mike Brown's out here doing interviews, which are strange interviews, talking about Shamar Stewart getting a deal done. Talking about we want to pay Shamar, get him in here, and get him guaranteed for his first year, but what if he ends up in prison? It's like, what? What? Where did that even come from, man?
What do you know that we don't know?
Yeah, it's like, why did you draft this guy if you think he's going to end up in prison in year 3 of his career? Like, what's going on? It's like Jerry Jones. Like, have you heard Jerry Jones's interview about Micah Parsons? He's like, we would sign him for a long-term deal, but what if he gets hit by a car? And it's like, what? Why are you guys even talking right now?
Yeah, it's like, who media trained you? Because this is not good.
Yeah, old, out-of-touch, 80-some-year-old billionaires should not be on the radio talking about their signings or not signings because, that's just really odd.
What if he gets hit by a car?
Yeah, it's like,
Struck by a bolt of lightning. What if he has a cardiac arrest? Who knows?
Yeah, anything could happen. What if he, has a heat-related illness? Okay, so, anything can happen, man. You throw any scenario out there. That's not a good excuse not to sign the guy.
I don't know where these people get some of their talking from, but it's not good.
It's not good at all. But, that's how the Bengals training camp's going so far. It's just good to have it back. So yesterday, and Bengals fans, this is how delusional some of us are. I'm not one of these right here. But Christian Wilkins was released from the Raiders, and a lot of Bengals fans were like, we're going to get this guy. We've got to sign this guy. And I'm like, guys, we haven't even signed Trey Hendrickson, our current defensive guy over there, or our first-round draft pick, which is a defensive player. Do you think we're really going to go sign Christian Wilkins before we sign these guys?
You want to know how much it wouldn't surprise me? And I want to know what your reaction would be if it did happen.
And I don't know if this is me or if this is Riverside or what, but Gage is stuck on my end. I don't know if it's the same way or not, but
boy.
Yeah, you can't expect
I
to
have
go
no
out and
idea if
sign
he's still on.
these guys before you sign the guys you've already got. There's no way. I mean, you have to sign your guys first before you can go out and get them. But some guys think that, yeah, that's what we're going to do. So it's interesting to see. It's good to have it back. So we'll see how all that goes. Gage, I think I just heard him. It looks like he is dropped out. We'll see if we can get him to come back here in just a few. We are previewing here the AFC South today for the preview for the 2025 season. But in baseball news, I'll talk a little baseball here real quick. The Cincinnati Reds, I was getting excited. They won 2 of 3 against the Mets coming out of the All-Star break. Thought everything was good to go. And then they drop their 3rd game to the Mets, and then they lose 2 straight to the Nationals. And I'm like, oh, man, here we go again. And then they win Wednesday, shutout. Nick Lodolo gets a shutout for the Reds. Didn't walk at batter. And then they are still 2.5 back of the wild card, so they've still got hope for me here. We'll see how it goes. 53 and 50, they face the Tampa Bay Rays tonight in a 3-game series at Great American Ballpark. We will see if the Reds can continue to look somewhat decent. Try to keep my hopes up a little bit longer until football season gets here. Football season's right around the corner, so I'm starting to ramp up on that a whole lot. But if they can keep me interested on some of these slow training camp days, I'll take it. We'll see how it goes. But, it looks like he's dropped out here. And we'll see if we can get him back on. He's saying that he has the spinning circle of doom right now, so that's not a good sign. It's usually me that gets dropped out, so for him to be dropped, it's a little bit different. But yeah, so like I said, the Reds, they're keeping my hopes alive here for just a little bit longer. We'll see. The AFC South is what we're previewing. We went over the 2 divisions last week. The Western divisions the last couple of weeks. We was AFC West last week, which has the possibility of being one of the better divisions in football. And then the NFC West, which is not bad. I mean, there's some decent potential there, but there's a couple of teams, I don't know. The Niners, are they going to step back up? We'll see. We talked about that already. And then the Cardinals, good mediocre team. The Rams are probably the favorite there. And then the Seahawks, you really don't know what you're getting there. There was Seahawks with all new stuff coming in. But the AFC South last year was one of the worst divisions in football. And again, this year they may have the worst division again this year. We'll see how it goes. But Houston quarterback CJ Stroud took a big step back after his terrific rookie season. Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson struggled, and Jacksonville Jaguars and Tennessee Titans were competing for the number 1 overall pick for most of the year. That said, it's a new year, brings new hope to every franchise. The Texans look to win their 3rd straight division title. Colts are giving former quarterback Daniel Jones an opportunity to win the starting spot from Richardson, which is very interesting because Richardson had a lot of hype coming out, number 4 overall pick. Daniel Jones struggled in New York. They cut him last year. He went to Minnesota. He goes to Minnesota. He doesn't play. He doesn't even dress, from what I remember. Maybe a couple of games. And now he's in Indianapolis and in a quarterback battle with Anthony Richardson, who was in a quarterback battle last year with Joe Flacco. It shows that they really don't have much trust in Anthony Richardson, the number 4 overall pick. But if you're putting the number 4 overall pick on that guy, you may want to be like, okay, yeah, let's see if we can have him play. I mean, we're paying him. We want him to play. We've got to have him play. I don't know. The Jaguars have a new head coach in offensive guru Liam Coen. Anybody remember the press conference he came out with where he did the awful Duval chant? Former Kentucky Wildcat offensive coordinator, 2 separate stints, 1 year at each place. He went from being a Rams special offensive something to Kentucky to be the offensive coordinator for a year. Left Kentucky, went back to the Rams to be the offensive coordinator. Left the Rams after 1 year to come back to Kentucky to be an offensive coordinator. Left Kentucky after 1 year, went to Tampa Bay to be their offensive coordinator last year, and that Tampa Bay offense thrived under Liam Coen last year. And now, after 1 season in Tampa Bay and the strangeness of his hiring in the offseason, he goes to Jacksonville to try to right the ship for Trevor Lawrence and the guys over in Jacksonville. They have a lot of potential, but who knows how they'll do. The Titans have a new quarterback in 2025, number 1 overall pick, Cam Ward, who may be the least talked about number 1 pick of all time. in Cam Ward with, the Travis Hunter going number 2 was a big deal. Shadur Sanders dropping so low in this draft. Everybody was on Shadur alert, seemed like, through the whole draft process. So he's like the least talked about number 1 pick, I think, in the history of the NFL or in recent memory besides offensive tackle. And that would be Mr. Cam Ward. And we have Gage back. Gage, the spinning circle of death, got him this time. Usually it gets me. It got Gage this time.
I can't.
Gage,
Riverside.
welcome back.
I can't blame Riverside. It was the entire internet. I'm like, what is going on? I hate technology.
Man, yeah, so I've just been rambling on here a little bit. I talked about the Reds, how they've kind of keep me a little bit of hope. They're still 2.5 back of wild card spot once again. And then I just got into a little bit of just introduction to the 2025 NFC South. See, I'm already saying NFC South, which could be the worst division in football like it was last year with 2 teams competing for the number 1 overall pick. So welcome back, Gage.
Hi. Let me tell you something, brother. I'm tired of this internet issues. I got the mouth of the South going down right now to the cable company to figure it out. I don't know what's going on. Oh, yeah.
What you gonna do when your internet runs wild on you, brother? There we go.
My voice hates when I do that. It's so funny.
Man, but so we'll hop into unless you want to talk a little Pirates baseball real quick before we hop in. We'll hop back to that real quick if you want. How's things looking?
I mean, the only team in baseball, almost history, since before 2000, at least, to get swept by the worst team in baseball and then sweep the best team in baseball, not in the same month, let alone back-to-back series. That's all. They suck. I don't like it. Next year, please. Thank you.
Yeah, and I noticed like last night the Diamondbacks, they're starting to sell off all their players. A team that just made the World Series 2 years ago, already selling everybody off. So, man, it could change that quickly in baseball.
I want Josh Naylor to Pittsburgh. So I was very upset when I saw the Mariners gave up not even any top 10 prospects, just 2 pitchers that probably no one's ever heard of. So, yeah. And
the Reds were in talk for a former fan favorite for the Reds that's in Arizona, Eugenio Suarez. They were in talk, or they were showing interest in him. I would like to have that guy back. He was a good player here. He was a fun guy. Everybody liked him. But we'll see what all happens. But, man, I'm starting to lose my hope in the Reds this year. We'll see how it goes.
At least you still have hope. This is a lot longer than you and I thought that there would be any hope for either of our teams.
And like I mentioned on here just a little bit ago when you dropped out that the Reds, they beat the Mets 2 in a row after the All-Star break, and I'm like, here we go. And then they lose 3 straight, and I'm like, oh, boy, here we go. And then they beat the Nationals with a Nick Lodolo shutout, and they're like, still 2.5 back of the wild card. I'm like, okay, all right, we're still in this. We're hanging in. So, man, the 2025 AFC South. Gage, like I said, I've already done a little thing here starting out, but let's go on and let's go with the first team here. And can anybody dethrone the Houston Texans and CJ Stroud and the boys?
Yeah, they finished 10-7 last year, made the playoffs, but they weren't, by all means, were not a good team. I mean, CJ Stroud, sophomore slump and a half. I also think it was because I may have had him on a fantasy team, but that is neither here nor there. Their BetMGM win line is set at 9.5, right where they ended last year at 10-7. But the key question this year, can they protect CJ Stroud? When we last saw him, he was being pummeled by the Chiefs defense. He got sacked 8 times in the playoff loss against Kansas City. So what does Houston do? They fired their offensive line coach and revamped their line. They traded left tackle Laramie Tunsil to Washington, moved on from 2 other starting guards. They promote the new offensive line coach, Cole Popovich. He worked under the Patriots coach, Dante Scarnecchia, and now, he's going to oversee a unit, signed 4 veterans, including left tackle Cam Robinson, which might be the most underrated, free agent signing of the offseason. They also spent a second-round pick on a giant offensive tackle whose name I cannot pronounce, so I'm not even going to try, but he stands at 6'6", 331, and he can start the outside when needed. Last season, only one quarterback took more sacks than Stroud. Stroud ended with 52 sacks taken last season. So it's going to be interesting to see what the offensive line can do. But just like normal, we're going to have a position to watch. And I'm going to stay in the offensive backfield. Give me the running back position. You could previously title it Joe Mixon's backfield, but they signed Nick Chubb, and what very under the radar, I never got any notifications about it. I just figured this out the other day, was that they signed Nick Chubb. And then they also selected Woody Marks in the 4th round. So could either one of those people overtake Mixon as running back 1? Yes, they absolutely could. Is that likely? Probably not, but it's hard to tell. Mixon was a bright spot in 2024, and he has no guaranteed money after this season, so he's probably playing for his future, playing for a contract this year. Now, breakout player, we're going to stay on the offense. Screw the Texan defense. Let's stay on the offense, and let's go to the wide receiver core. Christian Kirk. He replaces Tank Dell. Tank Dell, the injury that he suffered last year, gruesome. It was awful. Now, they drafted a rookie in Jalen Newell, at wide receiver, but Christian Kirk should be able to outplay him for the slot role. If the 28-year-old plays, every game, stays healthy, I would expect a similar line to 1,108 yards, 8 touchdowns, which is what he had in his sole full season in Jacksonville. Now, that's if he stays healthy. How likely is that? Very unlikely, but let's kind of hope it does. I like Christian Kirk. Are they better this year than what they were in 2024? In a way, sure. I don't see why they won't be. Now, did the Texans' offensive line or receiver room improve? Not really, but they did swap out people. They did get more depth, so it's going to be interesting. I could see them, what I say their win line was, 9.5. I'm going to take the over on that. I think they win the division, go double digits. So over on 9.5.
So the Houston Texans, they got a 3rd-year head coach, DeMeco Ryans. He's building a 49er-style pressure-first defense. Then they've got CJ Stroud in his 3rd season. He really struggled last year in his sophomore season, but they still went 10-7. CJ Stroud now controls protections and calls the plays, co-calls the plays. That's a big responsibility for a 3rd-year quarterback. He was pressured on 38.6% of his dropbacks in 2024, sacked 52 times, 2nd most in the league. At wide receiver, Nico Collins returns. You've got Tank Dell. He's out for the season, like you said, gruesome injury. You missed your Christian Kirk. He also has rookies Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins coming in for wide receivers. And at tight end, you've got Dalton Schultz, Brevin Jordan returning from an ACL injury. Nico Collins last year went over 1,000 yards in just 12 games. So we'll see how that is. And you said screw the Texans defense, but I'm going to go over to the defense real quick because, man, they've got some guys over on that side, and DeMeco Ryans is a defensive-minded coach. You got the edge, Will Anderson Jr., and I know it's Danielle Hunter, but it's spelled Danielle. But it's Danielle Hunter. They combined for 23 sacks last year. And then you got Jalen Petrie back from injury already with a pick in camp. Yeah, big stuff going on there. And then offensive line, you've got a couple of rookies that they've drafted. So we'll see if that will help out with their offensive line struggles from last year. With Tank Dell, he's on the injury list out for the season. Joe Mixon is also on the injury list starting out. So Nick Chubb has been taking first-team reps in camp. Can he stay healthy? He hasn't so far in his career. I don't know if he will be able to there or not. But if he is, as we know, we've seen Nick Chubb several times in the division. He's a very tough running back, hard to bring down. So some things to look for. Will the offensive line be able to protect CJ Stroud? Can they create turnovers on defense? Can the wide receivers get a little separation out there? I don't know. Key players to watch for, CJ Stroud, of course. Can he come back from his sophomore slump and be like he was the rookie year when everybody was like, man, this guy should have been the number 1 pick? Also on defense, here's another player, Azeez Al-Shazir, a very dirty guy. Will he be able to keep his nose clean? We'll see. Will Anderson, number 3 pick of the year, CJ Stroud. I look for him to have another big year again. Continue to progress. And then Nico Collins, 1,000 yards, 12 games. I think he's in for a big season. Then you have Lassiter on the defensive side. And then what do they do at the running back position? Can Nick Chubb stay healthy? And Joe Mixon, like you said, playing for a contract. How well will he play this year for the contract? We'll see. But Texans, 9.5 win total with the rest of the division. I like the Texans to go over that because this is not a good division right here. We're going to talk about some bad teams coming up from last year, and I think that they'll still be bad teams. Give me the Texans to win the division once again and get at least 10 wins. I think they go over on the 9.5 for the Houston Texans. Now, we go to the next team in the AFC South, which is the team up north, the Indianapolis Colts. Gage, what are we thinking about the old Indianapolis Colts?
First off, isn't it very weird that the Colts are up north, but they're a part of the South? I would never understand that.
And the Dolphins are in the East, which are furthest south you can get. So
yeah, it's
strange.
Very odd. But looking at the Colts, they finished last year 8-9, so almost 500, almost a Steeler record. But their bet and GM win total line really feels like they're going off of the record last year, set at 7.5. So it's gonna be interesting to see. Are they better? Are they not? I don't know. But the key question that I had going into this. Now, I'm looking at tweets from today, and apparently it's a little bit separated. But the key question, does their quarterback competition matter? They got Anthony Richardson, who was dealing with a shoulder injury here a couple weeks ago, but seems like he's gotten over it a little bit, maybe. And then they also got good old Daniel Jones in there at the quarterback competition. But reading tweets from today, 10 minutes ago, at Jake Arthur NFL on Twitter, practice is about to wrap, and we finally had a quarterback outperform the other. This was Anthony Richardson's best day. And then someone, what is that username? Pro Football Demon. Making a little bit of fun of the season. We've got Kyle Pitts hype, Chicago Bears hype, and Anthony Richardson is completing under 40% of his passes. It's officially football season. Apparently this was Richardson's best day. Not exactly a great training camp so far, but it's going to be interesting. I think Daniel Jones is the week 1 starter, but I don't know. I could honestly see it being either or, and I could see either or sucking and being replaced by the other couple weeks into the season. So that's one interesting thing to watch out for. But my position to watch, we're going to go to the defensive side. We like this defense a little bit. We're going to go to the linebacking spot. This position has been called the most glaring hole on the Colts roster during training camp. And why is that? Well, second-team All-Pro Zaire Franklin and their other projected starter, second-year Jalen Charlies, they were sidelined throughout the off-season training program with no firm timeline to return. After these two, their depth chart is very bleak at linebacker. You might say some names that, who even are these people? I couldn't tell you. Could not tell you because it doesn't matter. If teams want to exploit it, these two aren't starting week 1. Run it up the middle, throw some slants across the middle, you'll be just fine. But sticking to the defense, my breakout player is actually probably the second best pass rusher from the 2024 class, defensive end Laiatu Latu. I hope I pronounced that right. But obviously, Jared Verse, best pass rusher from last year's draft class. But Latu, the Colts drafted 4 picks ahead of Jared Verse. So he was actually the first one picked. Kind of had some very similar stats, though, to Jared Verse. He forced more fumbles, 3-2, and nearly matched Verse in total sacks, 4 to Verse's 4.5, and played nearly 200 fewer snaps. So he has still plenty of room to improve, and his pass rush win rate ranked 34th among edge rushers, while Jared Verse was ranked 9th per Pro Football Focus. So there's obviously some room to grow. They let Dayu, I don't know how to pronounce the guy's name. There's a lot of people here whose name I'm like, get normal names. Odeyingbo, he left for Chicago, and they expect Latu to play a key role and to be a breakout year. So, are they better than what they were in 2024? Actually, an uncharacteristic bold season from the GM, Chris Ballard. The Colts secondary is one of the most improved units, but after that, it stops there. They did hire defensive coach Lou Anarumo, so hey, maybe a little bit there, but it can't be. I see the look on your face. It can't be worse than what it was last year. And then you go to the offensive line. Yeah, they replaced 2 starters, but I don't see anything else. The win total, I think I said, was 7.5. I'm going to take the over, but I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to say they go 8-9 again.
Mediocrity at its best, this team right here. Head coach Shane Steichen is also entering his 3rd year in Indianapolis. And like you said, they hired defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo from the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, wasn't real impressed with Lou last year. Glad he's gone. Indy can have him. We'll see. We've seen all of Anthony Richardson's potential. I mean, the guy is lethal with his feet. He's got an incredible arm. However, I think he's overrated, and I think he's been overrated since he's come out of college. I've said this from day one on this podcast. But the other quarterback, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, that I thought, should have went higher than him, I was wrong on that one too. But, hey, it is what it is. Danny Dimes coming in, and I believe he's going to be the day one starter too for the Colts. They're bringing him in. And, man, if you've got Danny Dimes starting for you, what else do you need, right? So Richardson last year, he was 6.1 yards per carry on design runs, but he only had 24 RPO plays in 2024. Something there is not adding up, I don't think, But they brought in Daniel Jones to try to overtake him, just like last year. They brought in Joe Flacco. Why are you not, guys? I mean, they're not, they don't have any faith in Anthony Richardson, apparently, because they keep bringing in guys to come and compete with him, On the offensive side, you have, at wide receiver, you have Michael Pittman, pretty good, 56% contested catch rate last year. You got Jonathan Taylor, 48 missed tackles forced, 4.8 yards per carry, when running behind Quentin Nelson, which is a Hall of Fame guard on that line. And we go over to the defense. The worst pass defense last year on drop back passes. The sacks, they only had 38 sacks last year. Not good. DeForest Buckner is still dominant, though. And we'll see how he fits into Lou Anarumo's scheme, because last year there was a defensive lineman that played for Lou Anarumo that had a pretty big year. So maybe DeForest Buckner comes back. I mean, he's great anyway, but maybe he'll be even better. We'll see. And then offensive line, I mean, they got a pretty good offensive line. Like I said, you got a future Hall of Famer, Quentin Nelson, up there at guard. So we'll just see how they'll do this year under Lou Anarumo. On the offensive side, key players, Anthony Richardson. I don't think he's going to – I'm like you. I don't think he's starting. I think it's going to be Daniel Jones. Don't know how long that's going to last. And I think it's just going to be another lost season for the Indianapolis Colts. Yeah. Then you've got Michael Pittman, good player for him over there, good wide receiver. When he's not playing, the rest of the wide receivers, the offensive impact kind of goes down a little bit with him on the bench. Jonathan Taylor, elite yards after catch, but he's not been the same for the last couple of years, especially the year before last. He was awful. DeForest Buckner on the other side. And then, as you mentioned, Latu. I'll just go with Latu.
Yeah, good.
You said the second best pass rusher from last year's draft. I agree with that. Really good. I think he's going to have a big season this year again. And, 7.5 wins for the Colts. I think I may go under on this. I think they'll win about 7 probably. I don't like a whole lot of they're just one of those teams that's just like, since Peyton Manning's left and Andrew Luck has left. Andrew Luck was pretty good for a little while. But he didn't have much around him when he was there a whole lot. Andrew Luck did. But they've just kind of been just middle of the pack, and I think it's going to be kind of middle, lower tier this year for them. So give me 7 wins for the Indianapolis Colts this year. And now that'll bring us to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hey, Jacksonville's got a new toy over there. They got a new coach, Mr. going for them. So, man, what do we think about the Jaguars?
So their win line is actually up a little bit. They finished 4-13 last year. Their win line is 7.5, which I think is intriguing a little bit. But the key question, and it's probably the easiest one to come up with, how often does Travis Hunter play cornerback? I expect him to be majority wide receiver, but cornerback, he still wants to play it. But I want to see a true two-way player at the same time. I think it's going to be fun to watch. I'm optimistic a little bit that Hunter becomes that his rookie year. Do I expect it to be 50-50? No. More 75-25. 75% receiver, 25% corner. Last season, his Heisman season, he had 1,481 snaps total between offense and defense. That is insane. Now, if he does the 75-20 split, that would be more of a workload than what Justin Jefferson had last year and Jair Alexander had, who was, just last year's third highest paid corner. Often injured, but still third highest paid. So, we move a little bit to the position to watch. We're going to go to the quarterback. And who else than Trevor Lawrence? Jacksonville invested a number 1 pick and committed over $275 million to this guy. And what has Trevor Lawrence done? He's repaid them with inconsistency and an inability to build on a 2022 Pro Bowl. So the Jaguars smartly upgraded their offensive line, and they hired, I guess you could call him an offensive guru, head coach Liam Coen. Helped Baker Mayfield throw for 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns last year. Lawrence, by all accounts, is 100% healthy. He has to impress this year. This is the year, make or break, I think, for him. So let's stay on the offensive side and go to the breakout player. Let's go to tight end a little bit. You know, they got rid of Evan Ingram, so who's going to step in and be the number 1 guy? That is Brenton Strange. If you don't recognize the name, don't worry. He's been number 2 or number 3 for the past couple seasons, so it's fine. But, you know, they afforded to make Evan Ingram a cap casualty, thanks a little bit to the emergence of Brenton Strange last year. He caught 15 passes for 97 yards across the 2 games where he played more than 80% of the snaps. He is 24 years old, so still young, and he's going to be the tight end 1 in a Coen offense that consistently gives its tight end 1 80% of snaps. And when I talk about that, last season, Cade Otton was the beneficiary, posted 600 yards in 15 games. Don't be surprised if Brenton Strange goes over 800 yards this season. Is he a tight end I'm willing to draft? Absolutely not, because I don't trust Jacksonville. The only person that we trust is Brian Thomas Jr. Going back to the quarterback play, Brian Thomas Jr., his best games came when Mac Jones was at quarterback, not even Trevor Lawrence. So we all hope that they get more action together. Trevor Lawrence can stay healthy, and he can actually make BTJ this number 1 guy. So are they better than what they were in 2024? It's almost hard not to. Now, how much better remains to be seen. But after their front office and coaching staff failed to develop star talent, this season, they shuffled everything up. And they're trying, it seems, for a new era of Jaguars football. Their new coaching staff includes defensive coordinator Anthony Campanile. Again, these last names, you people need real ones that can actually be pronounced. But he should be able to modernize this awful defense. He's had time working with Brian Flores, Vic Fangio, Jeff Hafley. So the talent is there to return this team to a 9-win season, but I don't think it happens this year. Their win line was at 7.5. I'm going to take the under. I'm willing to bet 5 or 6 games that they win, but I don't see, a big win season coming this year. Maybe next year, but not this year. So give me the under on the 7.5 wins.
Head coach Liam Coen, first-year coach, replacing Doug Peterson. He stays at a lot of places for 1 year, and he bolts after that 1 year. Will he do it again this year? I don't know. I really don't know. The last 5 seasons, he's spent 1 year at each of the places. Who knows with him? He's kind of sneaky little guy. I don't know if I would trust him a whole lot, but he is a pretty good offensive coach. He's proven that at all the stops that he's been to. Trevor Lawrence, very poor 2024 season, followed by, before that, a 2023 season that was poor as well. Not good. They have a 32% 3-and-out rate. Yeah, 32% on 3-and-outs. That's not good. Now they're running a high-tempo rhythm system under Liam Coen, so we'll see if that'll work out for him. And you have guys like Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas out there playing wide receiver. Now, Coen has said that Travis Hunter is going to be practicing for a few weeks as corner, just straight corner, nothing else, and then he's going to go a few weeks straight wide receiver and nothing else, and then they're going to mix it all in and see what happens there. I don't know how it's going to work. It's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see, but I think Brian Thomas Jr. is the number 1 guy there. They went out last year and they got Gabe Davis, which didn't pan out for him, which I don't believe he's on the team this year after signing that that contract for him. Didn't do a whole lot. Evan Ingram's gone. Like you said, tight end Brenton Strange is taking over as tight end number 1. See how that works. And on the defensive side, you've got Josh Hines-Allen still over there. Great player. Tyson Campbell. So, I don't know. 7.5 wins is a lot for this team. Especially coming off of, How many wins was it last year? 4, 5? So,
Yep.
4. We'll see if Cohen can get it turned around. I don't know, but the key players this year is of course Trevor Lawrence. I mean, it's make or break for him. In a new offense, if he doesn't get along with Cohen, I don't think his time in Jacksonville is going to last. He's going to be gone, going somewhere else. Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, of course. Those are some key players there to watch for. Trayvon Walker, former first overall pick, has been quiet. He hasn't lived up to the number 1 overall pick. And I'm going to talk about a number 1 overall pick that I think nobody's talked a whole lot about. Talk about Trayvon Walker. There's the number 1 pick nobody hardly ever talks about right there. So 7.5 wins, I think, is kind of steep for this team, too. I don't think this is a good division. I'm taking the under on the 7.5 wins, too, for Jacksonville. So, yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
And that'll lead us to the basement of the AFC South. The least interesting team in the league, would you say? Yeah. The Tennessee Titans. And what do we think about the Tennessee Titans? Which, by the way, their quarterback competition just got a little bit, more, how should I say this? Not much of a competition after the other day.
Yeah, it's not going to be good at all. I mean, their win line is 5.5, which is actually more than what I thought it would be after finishing with 3 last year. But I got to look at how bad is their defense going to be this year. Back in 2023, they ranked 16th in points against. Middle of the pack, it's respectable, right? Last year, their first year without Mike Vrabel, they fell to third. Now, there's only 32 teams in the NFL. So that means there's only 2 defenses worse than you in points against. And then what do? They lose defensive end Harold Landry. He led the team in sacks. They also lost talented veterans, linebacker Jack Gibbons, and corner Chidobe Awuzie. Ouch. That has to hurt. But what is the position to watch? I'm going to go to the offensive side and go to their line. For head coach Brian Callahan's second season to get better than, the disaster of his first year, you must look to the offensive line because it was awful last season. And what do? They go out and sign former Steeler Dan Moore Jr., guard Kevin Zeitler, and, they pair them up with Lloyd Cushenberry, Peter Skoronski, and 2024 first-round pick J.C. Latham to form a unit that I actually think could be one of the best. You look at all these names, it's like, okay, maybe they got something brewing here a little bit. That's going to be fun to watch. Now, will the rest of the team be fun to watch? Probably not. But, we got to have a breakout player somewhere. I'm going to go back to the defense and a name that good luck on knowing. Cornerback Jarvis Brownlee Jr. Trading for L'Jarius Sneed has been a disaster for the Titans. But Brownlee, he was a 5th-round pick in 2024. Quietly emerged as an exciting alternative to the awful L'Jarius Sneed. Now, PFF, Pro Football Focus, they graded him 147th out of 222 corners. You look at that number and you're like, God, this guy sucks. He is completely awful and should not even be on a team. Now, he led the defense in snaps played last year. He is expected to start across from Sneed this year. And if he cleans up his penalties, I expect it to be a very good diamond in the rough. He's flash special talent and toughness. Clean up the penalties. I don't see any reason why this guy can't be the number 1 corner on the team. Are they better this year than what they were in 2024? I have no idea. I would say the only reason they're worse is if, every starter tears an ACL and ends up in a car crash maybe. But that is the only way that I see them getting worse. Do they remain the same? Maybe. Are they better? You got Cam Ward, who God only knows what's going to happen with him. And then they go out and they sign a couple veteran wide receivers as well. They got Tyler Lockett. They got Van Jefferson. They drafted 2 guys whose names I'm not even going to try. And then they signed Xavier Restrepo as an undrafted free agent. And if you were to Google Tennessee Titans right now, there is one piece of news that comes up. They added another wide receiver, a former Patriots wide receiver. His name is Matt Landers. Ring a bell? Ring a bell at all?
No,
yeah,
not at all.
It's because he's 26 years old and he's yet to play in an NFL game. He has spent multiple practice squads around the league. Last season with the Patriots in preseason, he had 1 catch for a team-high 34 yards in the final preseason game against the Commanders.
Look out.
Yeah. And then they waived Colton Dowell. If you're getting waived from this wide receiver room, you must be awful. The win total, 5.5. I'm going to take the under. I say 3 or 4 again. I see no excitement for this team this year, but Cam Ward might be something to watch. I don't really know. He's not in a good situation.
Yeah, so the Tennessee Titans and head coach Brian Callahan, former Bengals offensive coordinator, entering his second season as a coach. Not third, but second. Cam Ward, number 1 overall pick. He is probably the projected starter since Will Levis, former Kentucky Wildcat quarterback, who I thought was going to be better than Anthony Richardson, and I can say right now on this podcast that I was wrong about that. They both suck. Will Levis is having shoulder surgery and will be out for the season, most likely ending his career in Tennessee, and he's probably going to be a backup for the rest of his career, most likely. Man, in the UFL maybe. Nobody made more athletic interceptions than that guy did. So, Cam Ward, the offensive plan is fast timing throws for him, play action. We'll see what he does. He's a kind of a dual threat, but he likes to throw the ball more. He's not really much of a runner, as what some people may stereotype it. We'll just say that. But he is more of a passing quarterback. The offensive line, they have added, as you said, Zeitler, Moore, beefing up the offensive line. Pretty good. At running back, you've got Tajay Spears, and is Tony Pollard still there? Does he? Yeah, Tony Pollard still there, I think, for your wide. I was too fixed on this wide receiver room. It is an awesome wide receiver room. I mean, basically, not an awesome wide receiver room, but there's a lot of names in that wide receiver room. A lot of names that you would know. Calvin Ridley, Tyler Lockett, Tyler Boyd. Who else did you say that they signed there? There was another wide receiver name. Van Jefferson. Yeah, that's it. And then you get the wide receiver from Stanford, who torched Travis Hunter in college the year before last, Amenor, but that was only because Travis Hunter was playing like over 100-some snaps and they were in overtime. Of course he's going to torch him. So anyways, and then you get undrafted rookie free agent from Miami, Xavier Restrepo, or as some of the kids would call him, Xavier Restrepo, from the Miami Hurricanes. He's already got that chemistry with Cam Ward. He was a really good player last year as wide receiver for the Hurricanes. So we'll see how it works out this year. And then on the defensive side, you still got Jeffrey Simmons. He's still a beast over there. So we'll see how they do over there. I don't think that they're going to be all that good this year. Again, key players to watch, of course, is Cam Ward to see how he's going to do this year. Jeffrey Simmons, of course. Tyler Lockett, does he have anything left coming from Seattle? Calvin Ridley, should he have just stayed in Atlanta and not gambled? Probably. Because he's not been the same player. The 2 rookie wide receivers, see how they fit in with Restrepo and Amenor. See how that all works out for them there. I don't know. I think that they're going to be horrible once again this year. I don't think they've got it. I don't think Brian Callahan is a NFL-type head coach. Sorry. But you said their win total was 5.5?
5.5.
I'm taking the under on that as well. I think that they're going to be at the bottom of the South again this year. And, it's just not going to be a good season once again in Tennessee. And they have not had a good season since they sacked Joe Burrow 9 times in the playoffs and still lost. So, that's that.
Man, does it still, give you nightmares or something? It really seems it.
Yeah, but, we ultimately won that game. But, man, 9 sacks in a game in the playoffs. It just shows how horrible that offensive line was and how good Burrow is to carry him even after still getting that many sacks.
I think the Titans' defense during that game was eating their vitamins and saying their prayers and running rampant throughout the offensive line.
Absolutely. So let's go with who we think is going to be, who you got for your Rookie of the Year out of the AFC South this year.
I feel like it's got to be, there's 2 people I could go with. I'm going to go Travis Hunter. I think being, the two-way player, if he plays even, 70% of what he did last year, I think it'll be him.
Yeah, I'm with you. I was like, well, maybe Cam Ward just to go for a surprise because he's going to get a lot of playing time. Whether that's good or bad, it could be like a Bryce Young situation. Maybe if they sign Andy Dalton in the offseason next year and he comes in and plays and he gets hurt and then they bring him back in, I don't know. We'll see how it all works out. But I'm with you. I think Travis Hunter's going to win because it's going to be interesting to see how they work him into playing it. But he's going to get a lot of opportunity, and I think that he's probably going to be the Rookie of the Year out of that division. And your MVP, who you got in the South?
We're going to go a little bit different. We're not going to take a quarterback for this. I'm going to go to the Texans because I think they're going to win the division. But I'm going to go with Nico Collins. 1,000 yards in 12 games last year during a CJ Stroud slump. I don't know. Something just tells me that I don't want to jinx it because I don't want this to happen to anybody. But Stroud might get hurt. And Nico might still ball out with whoever the backup quarterback is down there in Houston.
Davis Mills still? I don't know.
Could not tell you.
I have no idea. I'm just going to take a safe pick here, and I'm going to go CJ Stroud. I think that he's going to have a bounce-back year this year in his third season. Like I said, he's co-calling the plays now, big responsibility for him. I think he's going to step up. He's going to have a good season. But it all depends on his wide receiver core, though. Like you said, Nico Collins. I like that pick for the MVP. I probably would have went with that too, but I'll go safe here. I'll go CJ Stroud. And my runner-up, I'll go Anthony Richardson. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Oh, that was a good one. Davis Mills is the backup, and then Graham Mertz, never heard of him, and then former Pitt product, Keaton Slovis.
Graham Mertz used to be a quarterback at Florida. That's all I got to say about that.
I'm surprised Keaton Slovis is on the quarterback list because he was supposed to be transitioning to tight end. So that must not have worked out for him at all.
I don't think the quarterback position is going to work out for him either, though, to be fair.
No, but I feel like he has more of a chance at that at least.
Yeah, probably so. But there is your AFC South preview. And, yeah, that's not good football down there in the South in the AFC.
Not very good.
Maybe the worst division in football.
Yeah, I could absolutely see that. One team maybe hitting double digits and the rest of them sucking. Yeah.
After going over the AFC West last week and 3 teams that are legit contenders to make playoffs to this right here, it's like, oh, man, that's bad.
Yeah, it's not good at all. But
even
looking forward to it.
In the NFC West, I mean, they had some contenders out there. But, yeah, so, that'll be our AFC South, so I guess that means next week we'll come back and we'll have to talk NFC South, which means we get to talk about Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Bucks next week. Can't wait for that.
The team that we always hate on and they always shut us up.
And they sure did last year. Without Liam Coen, man, I'm ready to talk a lot of smack about the Bucks next week on here, on this podcast, on this preview.
I don't think they win the division, but we'll have to find out.
I also think this is also a bad division coming up next week, but, we'll see. Bryce Young, Panthers, come back.
Who's starting at quarterback for the Falcons? Is it Kirk or Penix?
Who's starting at quarterback for the Saints? Is it Tyler Sucks? Or Tyler Show? What, Shuck? Whatever. Sucks? I don't know. Louisville guy. Who's starting? Hayner? I don't know. Rattler?
Or is it the other guy that we talked about a couple weeks ago who I don't remember his name? He was an undrafted free agent signing.
I don't know. We'll see. Check back in with us next week. And, man, that'll do it for this AFC South preview. Gage, you got anything else?
God, this is going to be the worst division in football, I feel. But that's about it.
Yeah, it is. And thanks for checking us out, and we'll see you all next week.
Later.